Had to bust the old number 5 out of the closet for today's video. Gets a little bit about why I'm wearing number 5 in a second here, but I want to start off by firstly addressing the reaction video I made after the Chargers came into Philadelphia and beat the Eagles with a walk-off field goal. Now, I admit that I can overreact, especially with sports. And I made that video immediately after the game ended when I was just searing hot, so fucking pissed. And when I had time to cool down, I kind of thought about the video I made and I was like, that really isn't exactly how I felt. I mean, putting everything collectively together in my mind from that game, I didn't give enough credit where credit was due. I didn't put enough blame where blame was due. I feel I unfairly threw Chip Kelly under the bus. I'm not going to say, oh, I still think he's going to take us to a Super Bowl now or anything like that. I have, confidence that is waning in him. But it was a video that was more of an overreaction than what I truly felt about the game. Then again, it was what I truly felt at the time. But then sitting down and collecting my thoughts, I realized that, things really aren't that bad. And to throw Chip Kelly under the bus the way I did and make it sound like, even though at the time I wasn't really trying to, but it may have sounded like I'm throwing the most of the blame on Chip Kelly. I'll take Chip Kelly and I'll take what I've got these first 2 weeks, what I have gotten these first 2 weeks from Chip Kelly over the shit that Andy Reid has put on the field for the past 2 seasons. I'm not saying what he put on Kansas City's field, but when he was on the Eagles his final 2 years here. Chip Kelly has at least made these games exciting. And that loss was an exciting loss. It pisses me off to know that there are so many opportunities that we could have nailed that game down. And that's why specifically I threw Chung and Deshaun Jackson under the bus, because their 2 knucklehead plays made it practically impossible to win the game if it's close at the end. So, pretty much all I gotta say about the video I made on Sunday after the game. It was an overreaction on my part, I'll be the first to say that, but I am stubborn, I am hungry, I just want fucking success for this team. And I know, even though I say, it's time to give Chip, a few years to put this team together, you can't really expect much. Even though I say that, I want it all. I still want it all for this team. I know it's unrealistic to think that they could get a Super Bowl out of this, but fuck it, I want a Super Bowl anyway. And sometimes my mind just jumps ahead of my mouth and throws things out there. So anyways, as for last week's video, boom, moving on. Kansas City, Big Red returning to the link as coach of the Kansas City Chiefs. This is probably the most I've ever looked forward to a Thursday night football game ever since they started doing Thursday night football games, if you don't count Thanksgiving games as Thursday nights. Anyway, this is a very interesting place that both teams are in right now. Philadelphia's coming in 1-1. Kansas City Chiefs are coming in 2-0. Now, it's basically the old guard returning to see his quote-unquote team, because pretty much the majority of the players that are on the Eagles right now were there when Andy Reid was last coaching them last season. And we got so used to seeing Andy Reid here in Philadelphia, just so used to seeing him here over 12 seasons and averaging 10 wins a year. A lot of success, a lot of joy. But man, did he shit the bed in his final 2 seasons, and I just was at the point where it was just, there's no question, you gotta go. You just gotta go. I don't care what success you brought us before that, you gotta go. Oh my goodness, I'm sneezing in the middle of the video. Anyway, this is a game where I am honestly torn as to who I think is going to win this game. The Eagles have to score more than 28 points. Have to. The only problem with that is Kansas City has shown that they're not willing to give up a lot of points. They've been very stubborn with points scored against them now, granted. They beat Jacksonville, which is nothing impressive, but they held the Cowboys under 3 touchdowns, which I personally think is very impressive. I see this as one of the bigger offensive teams in the NFC East, up there with the Eagles, and the fact that they held the Cowboys under 3 touchdowns was impressive. I thought the Cowboys were going to carve up that defense a bit more than they did. I thought Tony Romo is the most intelligent quarterback in the NFC East, so if there's someone who's going to pick apart the secondary, I figured Romo was the guy, but just like the Eagles, Dallas just sucks in the fucking red zone. They just can't fucking put up a 7 and have to settle for a 3, just shit like that. And I feel Dallas is pain, but fuck the Cowboys. I fucking let them be in pain. Anyway, Eagles have to score over 28 points to win this game. Deshaun Jackson has to be that go-to guy. You have to figure out to get 150 yards plus out of Deshaun Jackson. I see Kansas City, well, I don't see them. They are a team that's good at stopping the run. So relying on Shady McCoy to have like 180 yards like he did in Week 1 against Washington, I think is very unrealistic right now. Just you gotta find Deshaun Jackson. You gotta hope that he's gonna spread that secondary apart. You gotta imagine they're gonna double team him. I don't know why every team hasn't to this point just strictly double teamed Deshaun every single fucking snap, because he is the only wide receiver threat the Eagles have right now. Worry about the linebacker shutting down the tight end threat. Double the corners. Double the entire secondary if you have to on Deshaun. That's free advice, but more teams that don't keep doing it, you're going to see Deshaun put up numbers like he did last week. It's like over 190 or some shit. Anyway. Alex Smith. While I don't think he is by any stretch a top 10 quarterback in this league or anything, the Eagles secondary, the corners and safeties, are arguably the worst secondary in the entire NFL. And I see Alex Smith having tremendous success passing the ball. Don't even need to worry about the running game, and I don't know why teams would focus on the running game against the Eagles right now. I mean, the more I think about this, the more I think it's going to be a disaster. And that's why I'm just so reliant on the fact that the Eagles have to at least put up 4 touchdowns, because Alex Smith, on his worst day, is going to throw at least 4 touchdowns in the air on this secondary. Easily. And, I mean, it just goes to show you, like, even RG3 on one bad leg and still recovering from that, even though he got shut down in the first half of Week 1, he came back and busted out close to 300 yards just in the second half. Just in the second half alone. Put up 3 touchdowns. Like, that's kind of scary. That really concerns me. And this secondary, or just this whole defense in general, as EDP says, can't stop a nosebleed. And that's the truth. That's the fucking truth. This defense is awful. I like the defensive line. I like it's decent at shutting down the run, but man, penetration on blitz packages is awful. Billy Davis runs conservative zone coverage when he absolutely shouldn't be doing it, and fuck. But then again, it's just such a toss-up because I don't think they're going to be able to cover Deshaun. I think the running game is going to be decent. It's going to be enough to blast through and get first downs in midfield. And Vic is going to be Vic. But this is definitely the best defense, I should say, that Philly's faced. And in all honesty, I see this being the game that Michael Vick goes out with an injury, and I see Kansas City winning this game. And it doesn't have to necessarily be because Vic gets injured in this game. It could be late in the game. You're talking about 6 defensive Pro Bowlers on this team. This is the best worst placed team that we've seen in the NFL in a while. Don't let that 2-win record from last year fool you. This is a team that can do some damage against a lot of decent teams in this league, and the Eagles are going to be one of them, I honestly feel. It's the homecoming of Andy Reid, and it's going to sicken me knowing that they're going 1-2 if they lose this Thursday. If they're going 1-2 into Denver, fuck, that's a bad state to be in. But I just don't have faith in Michael Vick making it out of this game upright. I mean, and again, that's not a knock on Vick. And as I said before, like, I didn't give credit where credit was due. I mean, I partially mentioned how good a game Vick had last week. Vick had one of the most impressive games I've seen from an Eagles quarterback in a while. I was right up there with his performance he had on Monday Night Football against the Redskins. The previous, not week one, the one from 2 years ago, three seasons ago. Vick, I mean, I'll be the first to admit it. He's well exceeded my expectations for what he's going to be able to do in this Chip Kelly offense. But without him, and you have to seriously consider what this team can do without him. And that's the reality check from that video I made last Sunday that just has to ring true. What would we do without Michael Vick on this team? He is clicking like a motherfucker in Chip Kelly's offense. And I honestly don't see him making it through this game on Thursday. I mean, it's just the pessimist in me talking, but I've seen Vic get fucked up enough times in this league to know when it's coming. Maybe it doesn't happen. Maybe Vic puts up another 400 yards in the air, close to what he did last week. Prove me wrong, Mike. Prove me wrong and last the entire season, but fuck, man. I just don't have a good feeling. I can't confidently pick the Eagles. I can't realistically suspend my disbelief and say, oh, my home team is going to win. I honestly don't feel that, so look for Kansas City and Andy Reid to come into the link on Donovan McNabb night. They're going to be retiring Donovan McNabb's number 5, which is why I'm honoring him by wearing this. I was one of these people that said, get the fuck out of town when you lost to Dallas 3 times in your final year here in Philly. But that doesn't change the fact that you are my favorite player of all time on this team, Donovan. And I'll still rock your number 5 jersey to this day with no qualms about it. So, boy, both Andy and Donovan coming back on the same night. That's fucking crazy. Anyway, let's go over my last week's picks. Some of you guys gave me some harsh criticism for some picks I made. I went 11-5 again, back-to-back weeks of 11-5 with my picks, even picking a bunch of underdogs and getting some of them right. Anyway, the New York Jets, the Patriots. I picked the Patriots to win. Actually, we'll just go over the ones that I got wrong. And the Patriots, by the way, I don't think they're going much of anywhere after that performance they put up on Thursday night last week. I picked Minnesota over Chicago, and Chicago won again. I gotta admit, I didn't give their little CFL coach and their offense a lot of credit, but Cutler is getting shit the fuck done. And they're winning impressively. I mean, they might not be blowing out people by 30 points every week or anything like that, but they're scoring. They're scoring, their defense is on reasonable lockdown, but fuck, man, they're getting it done. More than power to them. They're well exceeding what I expected out of them this year, so good on you, Chicago. My biggest upset pick of the week, I had Cleveland over Baltimore. Boy, at halftime, it looks like that prediction was running pretty true. Baltimore later pulled on the second half and won in a not-so-impressive game. So all you people that were jumping down my throat, like, oh, Baltimore, how can you pick Baltimore to lose in Baltimore against the Brownies? That's why. They barely beat them. Anyway, I think Baltimore's a shadow of what they were last year for any number of reasons. I picked Philadelphia over San Diego. Obviously, we know what happened there. They lost with a field goal with time running out. Well, there's a few seconds left. But anyway, Detroit. I picked Detroit over Arizona, and what do you know? Arizona won. Very close game. Arizona won by a point. It was like 25-24. And I expected a close game, but I expected Detroit to not be that Detroit of last year and seal the deal once the fourth quarter comes around. But fuck. Arizona seems to be a thorn in a lot of teams' sides, including the Philadelphia Eagles, which, by the way, one other note, Coach Wisenhunt owns the Eagles, he's now on the Chargers. He's beat, I think, the Eagles the last 4 times that he was with the Cardinals, and now he came to the Chargers, and you want to figure out how to beat the Eagles, ask Wizenhunt how to do it, because apparently he's been able to do it for years on end. The pick I got most criticism for, I picked San Francisco over Seattle at home. I said how Chicago has exceeded my expectations this year. Seattle has blown my expectations for them out of the water, out of the Seahawks. The expectations I had for the Seahawks, they just blown them out of the water. That defense is the fucking real deal. I knew that going into this year, but I was like, how good are they going to be with Wilson? I mean, I felt that Wilson, honestly, just basically overachieved last year. Now, don't get me wrong, Russell Wilson's a good quarterback. He's a good guy to run option plays with and stuff like that. But this team, the offense, other than Lynch, I just don't see how they're going to do against a team that is a more formidable foe defensively. But San Francisco was supposed to be that formidable foe, and what the fuck? They put a 3 spot up against Seattle. That big, high potency Kaepernick offense got shut the fuck down. God damn, that was a fucking just absolute molesting by the Seattle Seahawks. Fuck. And in the who gives a shit game of the week, oh, actually, no, I didn't. I picked that one right. I was going to say the Jacksonville-Oakland game, but I picked Oakland to win and they won. Anyway. All right, let's just go into my picks for this week. I picked Kansas City over Philadelphia. Kill me now. 1-2 going into playing Denver. That's going to be fucking fun. Green Bay at Cincinnati. Cincinnati's playing really well. I think Cincinnati's playing really well. There's a reason why I picked them to win the AFC North, and they're showing pretty much why. They've already beat the Steelers. That's a big monkey off their back there. They usually seem to struggle against them, other than that final game last year where they knocked the Steelers out of the playoffs and went into the playoffs. Green Bay is still a fucking scoring machine, though. And I don't see Cincinnati being able to keep up with the Green Bay offense. So look for Green Bay to win that game. St. Louis at Dallas. This is a game where Dallas can fold up their tents if they fucking lose. St. Louis coming into Dallas. I think this is two teams that match up really well, but the edge would have to be given to the home team in this one, you'd think. And you'd think Romo would like to vindicate himself for just a so-so showing last week against Cincinnati, against Kansas City. Look for Dallas to win. But fuck the Cowboys. San Diego at Tennessee. Tennessee has been struggling. They looked somewhat impressive against Pittsburgh, but I think that was more Pittsburgh fucking sucking in week 1. Look for San Diego to win this game. Cleveland at Minnesota. I don't see Minnesota losing at home. I look for Adrian Peterson to just fuck up that not so good at stopping the run defense in Cleveland. So look for Adrian Peterson to have about 220 yards rushing. All right, maybe that's a little over the top. 237 yards rushing. Minnesota's winning this one easily. Tampa Bay at New England. I got Tampa Bay winning this game. How the fuck do you like them apples, Patriot fans? I'm sorry, but that shit that they put on the field last week against the Jets, I know people are going like, well, it was raining. Oh, shut the fuck up. Tom Brady is thrown in so many shit inclement weather games. I don't want to hear that it was raining, the ball was slippery. Because if you know anything about football, scores tend to be higher in rainy weather games because there's usually a lot more turnovers, and usually your receivers break free from secondary coverage because they lose their footing. So, the fact that the combined score wasn't even 30 against the Jets is a fucking joke. The fact that the Patriots had more punts than first downs against the Jets is a fucking joke. That's why Tampa Bay is coming into New England and they're fucking you up. 14-point victory for the Buccaneers. All right. Arizona at New Orleans. New Orleans is winning. I'm just shaking my head because I know Arizona fans are starting to get confident because like their team's winning. Anyway, no, not winning in New Orleans. Detroit at Washington. This is another game much like Dallas where if you have another so-so team come in and beat you at home, fold up the fucking tents for the year. I know it's still early on. People are like, oh, you overreacted so early in the season. Yeah, well, it's pretty much over. Washington, if you lose to Detroit at home, you're done. 0-3. RG3 still looks like he needs some recovery time before he's really going to be a threat against beating decent teams. If Detroit comes into Washington and whoops your ass, it's done. You're over. Dead Skid fans, you can just go ahead and disappear again for another 15 years. I mean, half of you are already closing your accounts now. Like, people that were talking shit to me in week 1, I went back to just, talk shit back to them, and account closed, 0-2. Anyways, we'll see how many of those accounts shut down when they're 0-3. But I'm picking Washington to win this one. I mean, even with RG3 recovering, it's like they can't be that bad. There's no fucking way they could have dropped off so bad from what they did last year to start off 0-3 this year. It just doesn't seem right. So look for Washington to win that game. New York Giants at Carolina. Carolina is going to get about another 4 interceptions off of Eli Manning, bringing his total of the year up to 11 fucking interceptions. He's got 7 interceptions already. Did I do the math correctly? 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, I did. He's got 7 interceptions this year. Holy fuck, are the Giants going nowhere? And it's fucking fantastic. Fuck the Giants. Carolina's winning. Houston at Baltimore. Houston, while they are winning very unimpressively. Very unimpressively. They had to have a 21-0 unanswered point comeback against the Chargers to beat them. They had to take Tennessee into overtime last week. That's something that shouldn't happen. So look for Baltimore. Look for Baltimore to win at home and give those hometown fans something to cheer for, besides the Super Bowl that they just won. Atlanta at Miami. I gotta say, seeing this game brings up one question to my mind. What the fuck do the schedule makers have against the Miami Dolphins? The Miami Dolphins had to start off the year playing 2 road games. Now usually, if I can remember correctly, you usually play 1 game at home, 1 game away, so that you don't have to wait a couple weeks into the season before your hometown fans get to see you play. What the fuck? And then your first home game is against a juggernaut from the other conference, Atlanta? What the fuck, schedule makers? That is such a fuck you to the Dolphins. Anyways, Atlanta's coming into Miami and whooping that ass, but still, if you Miami Dolphin fans, I feel for you. That's fucked up. You shouldn't have to wait till week 3 to play a home game, and then it shouldn't be an out-of-conference juggernaut that you have to face off against. Fucking bullshit. Buffalo at the Jets. Who are we kidding? Geno Smith is finally showing his true colors. Alright, Geno Smith is doing alright. It's unfair to throw it all on him. But that game against the Patriots, again, that was just such a piss-poor showing from both of those teams. And it's weird, because at first I was like, geez, the NFC East is clearly the worst division in football, but it's like, no, the AFC East is making their claim for the weakest division in football, apparently. Fuck, man. I honestly don't even know who's going to win the division this year. I guess the Patriots will, because they got 2 very easy wins right off the bat, and it's luckily they got them while they have some key injuries on the team. So when they get guys like Gronkowski back and that other receiver that I'm forgetting the name of, anyway, Patriots will be just fine. They should be able to eke out 9 victories, but who knows. Look for Buffalo to beat the Jets in New York. Indianapolis at the 49ers. 49ers are just shot in my mind for that performance they put up against Seattle. Yes, a lot of the credit has to be given to the lockdown defense that Seattle put on the field, but only to put up 3 points against that. I'm sorry, San Francisco. You just shook my mind for any confidence from you. Don't expect any here. So look for Indianapolis to come in to the old Candlestick Park and fuck you up. Jacksonville at Seattle. Now, while Seattle was very, very, very impressive last week against the 49ers, that defense is going to start cracking soon, and they're going to start letting up points, and this is seriously the week that it's going to happen. I know Jacksonville hasn't been too impressive thus far, but I don't know. I see Jacksonville putting up at least 5 touchdowns, few field goals. I see them getting at least 40 points on Seattle this week. And you gotta be kidding me. Seattle's gonna fucking rape Jacksonville. I just wanted to tease my Seattle fans that are already pissed off about me. Anyways, Seattle probably will win. I'll say the final score it'll be like 38 to -9. Yeah. It'll be like 3 negative field goals. Jacksonville will line up and they'll kick it in the wrong uprights and they'll deduct points each time. They'll do that 3 times during the game. So look for them to finish with -9 points. Anyways, Seattle will have another impressive win. Chicago at Pittsburgh. You gotta be kidding me if you think Pittsburgh is gonna win this game, and holy shit. Pittsburgh Steelers being 0-3? What? What? When's the last time we ever heard that? What? It's happening. And it's going to happen in Pittsburgh. Oh my goodness. Holy shit. And finishing off the week with the, unless you care about Denver, it's the who gives a shit game of the week. Denver is going to fucking annihilate the Oakland Raiders at home. My God, this could rival the points that Denver put up against Baltimore in week 1. Holy fuck, that's going to be a massacre. So, there we have it. There's my picks. 11-5 last week. Eagles again. I fear for Michael Vick's health this week. I think Andy Reid is going to blitz the shit out of that team. And if there's one team Andy Reid knows in this league, it's going to be the Philadelphia Eagles, since he knows how half the personnel plays the game on that team. But then again, the scheme is completely different. As Chip Kelly said in his news conference yesterday, though Andy Reid might know the players, it's a completely different scheme here. So knowing how a player plays, it only gets you so far. So there we have it. Seattle, I'm showing you some love. Chicago, I'm showing you some love. Dallas, go fuck yourselves. New York Giants, go fuck yourselves. New York Jets, you still suck. But my team's probably going to be 1-2 going into a game against Denver, so I got no room to talk. And I'm also very pissed that I couldn't enjoy the fact that all the other NFC East teams lost last week, and I could have rubbed it in all their faces more just willingly if my team didn't shit the bed against the Chargers. So there we go. Everyone, have a great day, a better tomorrow, and hopefully the Eagles have a better tomorrow and prove me wrong and beat Big Red, wearing all red, on Donovan McNabb night at Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, on the frozen tundra in September. Anyways, have a great day, everyone. Fuck Dallas one more time.